part that deals with confirmation of the start of Ramadan. How do we know Ramadan starts? And this is a mega problem worldwide. Every single year, couple of weeks before Ramadan begins, should we have? Why do Muslims differ? Why do they have celebration of Eid on different days and not on the same day? Why do they not fast on the same day? And it goes on and on and on. And to the extent that some cities, like in Birmingham, in London, in Germany, in New York, elsewhere, you find communities in the same city. Some of them fast on a Saturday, other communities on a Sunday, and the third community on a Monday. So they have 3 different days of Eid. And some of the households may have 2 or 3 of their members fasting and celebrating Eid differently. So what's going on? Citing the crescent, the new moon, is part of Islam or not? Everyone says, yes, it is. Why? They said, because Allah Azza wa Jal told us, the Prophet taught us. Ask you about moon sighting and the crescents and the newborn moon. Say it is timings for Hajj, meaning that you know the seasons through knowing the time. And this is the beauty of depending on the lunar months rather than the Gregorian months. If anyone asks you, what day is it today? What day it is today? You need to refer to your watch, your calendar. Sometimes even you won't be able to know which month you're in. So if someone was lost on an island or in the desert or went into a coma and woke up, he wouldn't know which day definitely he's in. There's no 15th or the 30th of the month, let alone when it is 28 days like Feb or 31 days like this or that month, or 30 days like other months. So they don't know. No one can know. Only astronomers who do their calculations, and they are 1 in a million, maybe less, 1 in a 10 million, that can count and know. While in the lunar months, if you are stranded on an island, all what you have to do is look at the size of the moon, and you can immediately tell whether it is the middle of the month when you have a full moon, so it's or 15th. When the moon is about to disappear and it disappears, you know that the month is over. When the new moon is born and the crescent appears after it was disappeared yesterday, you know today is 1 of the lunar month. So it is essential for Muslims to know how to worship Allah Azza wa Jal and to know what month they are in, and this is possible only by following the moon, as mentioned in the Quran and the Sunnah. So we all agree that moon sighting is needed to know what day of the month we're in and which month this is. No one differs about this. The problem is when it comes to different countries, as we do not have one Islamic ruler that rules all the Muslims, unfortunately. So each country has its own sovereignty. They have their own ruler, their own imam. And the Sunnah tells us that each region has their own sighting, as each region has its own prayer times. So if I'm in Saudi Arabia, I'm in the capital of Islam, I'm in Mecca and we're praying Maghrib. Why did we pray Maghrib, by the way? Because the sun set. So can people in Malaysia and Kuala Lumpur 5 hours for Maghrib with us? No, they still have like a couple of hours or 3 hours to go. The sun is in the middle of the sky. So you cannot unify prayer times, and hence you cannot unify fasting of Ramadan, because this requires sighting of the crescent. And this is problematic, but if people learn how to circle and unite with their Islamic authorities, we wouldn't have any problem. So there are Muslims in Kenya. Do they have one Islamic authority, or they have like gazillion groups? Each one claims to be the authority of the Muslims there. We have Muslims in Birmingham, UK, not Birmingham, Alabama. So what is happening there? This is something that they need to unite and look into their own dealings, because they cannot be disunited like this. This doesn't work like that. So the most authentic opinion is that the sighting of the new moon determines whether Ramadan has begun or not, and each region has their own sighting, as was mentioned in the authentic hadith when Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him, fasted in Medina or in Mecca region a day earlier than the people in Asham in Syria, where the caliphate was. So the Muslim ruler was a day earlier, and he did not follow that, and he said that this is the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, to abide by each and every one of their sighting of the new moon. And he cited it, or the whole community is fasting it. So in so many cases, in like 99.9 cases, we never sight the moon. It is someone else who does and testifies, and the court accepts it. So if the whole community started fasting based on that, this is a valid thing to follow them. And the Prophet ﷺ ordered us to fast when we see the crescent. There are two, either by sighting the moon or by the completion of the month of Sha'ban into 30 days, because the Prophet told us that the month is this, let me see, okay, this or this. The month is either 29 days or 30 days. In Islam, we don't have 28 or 31. The days are either 29 in a month, a lunar month, a Hijri month, or 30 days. So when it's 29 days, everybody goes out, try to sight the moon. If they fail to sight the moon, simply because they couldn't see it, or if there were clouds, or it was a sandstorm that prevented people from sighting the moon, the default becomes that tomorrow is the 30th of the month, and we are obliged to fast. And then by default, the day afterwards would be the 1st of Shawwal, the day of Eid. And this is what the Prophet instructed, alayhi salatu wasalam. When it comes to the number of witnesses testifying to have seen the moon, it's an issue of dispute among scholars. Some say that it is required to have 2 witnesses. Would the Muslim authorities follow in your country? And Allah Azza wa Jal knows best.